Here.
And Strobush.
Here.
Thank you. I'm going to ask, who'd I ask? Gary Osborne to lead us in the pledge.
Okay, stand. Pledge. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And now, we will go into closed session. Proceeding under Wisconsin Statute 19.85, Parent 1, Parent F, to consider financial, medical, social, personal histories, or disciplinary data of specific persons, preliminary consideration of specific personal problems, or the investigation of charges against specific persons which, if discussed in public, would likely to have a substantial adverse effect upon the reputation of any person referred to in such histories or data, or involved in such problems or investigations. This is in regards and member of the Amery Fire Department. The council will continue in closed session proceedings under Wisconsin Statute 19.85, Parent 1, Parent G, to confer with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved. This is in regards to a member of the fire department. The council will convene in the open session to act on matters discussed in the closed session and to complete the agenda.
I'll make a motion we go into closed session under Wisconsin Statute 19.85(1)(f) and Wisconsin 19.85(1)(g).
Second.
If it
That's-
made and seconded, Fran, you want to take the roll call?
Yes, Strobush.
Yes.
Freeman Schneider.
Yes.
Paulson.
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
And Van Blarkum.
Thank you. We are in closed session. We are back in open session. We will continue with the minutes from the June 7th and June 12th council meetings that are in your packets.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes from the June 7th and June 12th council meetings. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Upcoming events. Judy from the Amery Area Community Center.
Good evening, everyone. Once again, I'm here to promote some events that we have coming up for the Amery Area Community Center. Are you feeling stressed out? Come on over, sit back and pick up your souls. You can have a free foot or hand reflexology session on Tuesday, July 18th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Reflexology is a non-invasive, complementary modality which promotes relaxation, improves circulation of lymph and blood by stimulating the complex neural pathways linking body systems. It encourages the natural healing process of the whole body. Donna Mom of Lightfoot Reflexology is nationally certified by the American Reflexology Certification Board. I have to concentrate on that reflexology word. And Donna will be doing the sessions, and I'm sure it's very relaxing. Our second promotion is a paint and sip party for kids. This is for kids ages 6 and up. Join us for a fun painting party on Monday, August 7th at 1 p.m. We provide the canvas, the easels, the brushes, paints, table covers, and aprons. Each painter will go home with their own beautiful painting at the end of the party. The cost is $20. Juice and snacks will be provided. We need a minimum of 10 kids for the class. An adult must accompany each child. This is open to the public. Please make checks out to Brush Strokes Paint Party and drop off at the community center or mail in your payment by July 31st. And we will get you registered. This would be a great bonding experience with our grandchildren and grandma and grandpa. And last but not least, we at the Amery Community Center Understand that the Amery Community Club is hosting a special 30th anniversary celebration for us at the Farmers Market on Monday, July 24th, from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. There will be live music, a car show, a motorcycle show, as well as a wonderful artist from Amery, Mr. Paul Ullman, will be painting or doing a painting. There will also be food available, and we want to thank Val Berkey and the Amery Community Club members for putting this event on for us. Again, thank you for your time and enjoy this wonderful evening. Hope everyone can attend this event. It sounds like a lot of fun. Thank you.
Well, I was going to mention the farmer's market, but you did, so that's good.
Oh, okay.
Music on the River is July 21st, and the community club is doing this really fun thing called Amery Fish Finder. And if you haven't picked up your sheet at Chet's, it's really fun. Gets you into businesses that you might not go into. So, and you can win script money for that. And the Amery Arts Alliance is doing something at the theater on the 14th,
Friday night,
Friday night,
7 o'clock,
7 o'clock.
revives the Apple River Opry.
The Apple River
3 acts,
Opry.
including Mark Rowan McMedia.
Okay, be there.
Be there.
Any other events? Think not. Officers report. Dale isn't here. Public Works. Mr. McCarty.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor, ladies and gentlemen. Want to start off with stormwater, and I know Fran's been getting a lot of calls on the creek that runs down from South Twin Lake down. We've cleaned out several of the culverts. We put up some devices in order to catch debris. I just want to remind the people that live on that lake and the ones that are always calling Fran and saying how things are backing up to keep the debris out of this creek, and it will not clog up the culverts that are in there. We're going to try to clean out the one by Bumper to Bumper. The one on Bridge Street's flowing very nicely, probably the best I've ever seen it, so that should alleviate quite a bit of the problems for the folks on the corner of Broadway and along Keller Avenue. I think that's where most of the calls have been coming from. Also, with the storm that we had last night, the dumps has been open. I've gotten several calls to open it up, but for the next couple of days it will be open for everybody that wants to bring their debris out there. I've gotten a call from a few of the citizens that are a little older and can't handle their own, and we've been helping them out. And please don't take advantage of us, but if you do need help, feel free to call. Also, the guy's been very busy with other storm sewer-related issues. You probably noticed around town there's cones just about everywhere. All of the inlets and stuff they're aging. The infrastructure's aging. The storm sewers themselves are in pretty good shape, but most of the curb inlets and stuff are deteriorating, and they're doing a lot of work around town. So be mindful of them. There's a few places on Main Street they'll be working. Also, Monarch is scheduled to come, they said late this week or early next week. They'll be doing some milling, and hopefully it won't be too long before they put the blacktop back down. We did Harriman Avenue probably 4 weeks ago, and we've been keeping an eye on it. It's in pretty good shape, but it should be repaired probably within the next few weeks. Other than that,
I have a question, Bones.
Yes, ma'am.
Are lift stations in town, when the power goes out, are they affected, or is there backup for different lift stations, like when it went out?
We do have backup power.
Yes.
We've got 3, 4, 5 hours of reservoir, let's call it, before we really have to worry. This morning the power didn't go out. We got called in at between 3 and 3:30 this morning. Mostly was moving brush, so I didn't call anybody in. I figured at 7 o'clock when they got in, they could get things running and we'd be safe.
Yeah, because I thought most of the city was out at some point.
They were. I think it came
So
back
that's-
on around 5 o'clock, didn't it, Tom? Yep. There was trees down across Main Street. I think that was the first one we cleared. There was half a dozen other areas in town that I was around with the payloader. I didn't call anybody, and I kind of handled it myself rather than do overtime. So you probably won't see me tomorrow.
All right, thanks.
All right, thank you.
You're excused now. You can go home and go to bed if you want to.
Okay.
Police Chief Tom Marson.
Vivian, I can leave now too because
Yes.
I was up with his smiling face at 3:30 this morning.
As I was.
That's right, you were too. Good evening, everyone. I presented to the council and the media the activity reports for the month of June. Certainly, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer there. After being extremely busy with various calls in late June, things have settled down a bit, fortunately, there. And just to let people know that another source for information on our department is our Facebook page as well. You get information out of the Amery Free Press as well. Bones touched on the weather last night. I want to thank him for being out so early as well upon getting called there. So we continue to address complaints and concerns of various code violations. We decided to put an insert in the upcoming water bill there, and I mentioned that at one of our meetings recently there. It's going to highlight some of the some of our codes there and some of the violations that we deal with there. Certainly, as always, we ask for voluntary compliance, and if there are any questions, you can contact City Hall there for questions or concerns, and another way to let us know about the concerns is certainly through our website there, so city website. And we had our annual Cops and Kids Golf Scramble on Tuesday, June 13th, and it was a great success again, and I want to thank all that participated and donated and helped out. It was greatly appreciated. That's all I have.
Questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. James Nealon, Library Director.
Good evening. Sorry I missed the last couple of meetings, but we've been doing lots of stuff with summer reading. That program is in two pieces. There are kind of a whole bunch of events that are associated with that, but the other piece of it is the reading incentive, where kids basically read and get prizes. And we're up to 497 kids registered as of last Thursday, which is about a 27% increase over last year. So we're doing pretty well, and I'm sure there have been more sign-ups since then, and there will be a few more. So that's going well. We moved our family programs, which are kind of our bigger events, to Thursdays at 1:30, and that was mostly to accommodate the number of kids who were doing summer school this year. So just a couple that are coming up this Thursday. We have Brodini, Comedy and Magic. July 20th, we have Mad Science of Iowa. Sometimes we have Minnesota, sometimes Iowa. I don't know why. And then the final one in July is July 27th, and I'm just going to say this once because I don't know how to say it. Afutai, I think it's pronounced. It's a Haitian Dance, Music, and Arts Company. And that one is a joint program with the Golden Age Manor. So we'll actually have it over at their place because they have a bigger place than we do for all the people. So, and then the final July program is Saturday, July 29th is our Harry Potter party. So kids can come in dressed as Harry Potter characters in those books. And that's something we're doing together with the Osceola and St. Croix Falls Public Libraries.
Good. Questions? Thank you, James. Our acting city administrator, clerk treasurer, Fran.
Okay. The first thing I want to comment about tonight is the ongoing saga of Cardinal Glass appealing their manufacturing assessment to the state of Wisconsin. I have some news about that. If you recall, several years ago they had made an appeal and they received a reduction of about $288,000 in their assessment. That was for the year 2014. They have since appealed assessments from 2015 and 2016. Those appeals were denied without reduction from the State Board of Assessors at Department of Revenue. Under statutes, they were permitted to appeal that decision to the State of Wisconsin Tax Appeals Commission. They have done so, and there was a negotiated type of settlement reduction in their assessment after, due to those proceedings. So over the course of those 3 years, the reduction in their assessment is about $832,000, $832,300. So once that reduction is made, that reduction is in effect from that year forward. They received a reduction 3 consecutive years. As part of that settlement, those reductions ranged from $271,900 to $288,100. Total on that is $832,300, like I had mentioned before. The total, what that means is, as a whole, is a reduction of about $25,000 in tax revenue to all of the taxing entities as a total. To the city specifically, it's right around $8,000. So when I receive a request in writing from Cardinal Glass to refund those tax overpayments, under state statute, we are obligated to do so. And we will be doing that, and I will be charging back those amounts to the various taxing jurisdictions to help make us whole. But we have to front those monies at the time the refunds are made. So that is potentially, $50,000 to $75,000 that we will have to front. And then when I charge those back to the taxing entities, we will get back their share of that. So that's an update on that situation. It took some time to resolve, but it is resolved now. We'll have to see moving forward if they ask for a further reduction or not. And this is something not unique to Amery. They are doing this, from what I understand, at all of their factories around the state of Wisconsin. And there are other manufacturers that are doing the same thing. So I wanted to give you an update about that. Also, I want to mention we hosted a meeting yesterday with Danielle Campo at UW River Falls. She is with their Center for Innovation and Business Development regarding an incubator type of program that they have going on there. That was attended by city officials, members of the AEDC, some of their members, and some interested citizens as well. Also, we have on the horizon coming up next week an important meeting with stakeholders regarding a road to the new industrial park. We will be hosting representatives from DOT, engineering firms, 2 different engineering firms, affected property owners, the AEDC, and stakeholders in that as well, and hope to get on the road to accomplishment with that. Something else we're going to be having coming up is a land division and several pending rezonings to enable some residential development with multifamily and condo type housing at this point. We do also have coming up next week on Monday new requirements under state statute in laws regarding tax incremental financing. The Joint Review Board is now required to meet every year, so they will be meeting on Monday. Dave Rasmussen of MSA is going to help facilitate that. Our first year here going around with the new statutory requirements, but we'll have representatives here from the various taxing jurisdictions with that as well. And last but not least, some of you may have gotten postcards in the mail from the Wisconsin Elections Commission, formerly known as the Government Accountability Board. This is 4-year voter maintenance season, and everyone in the state of Wisconsin who is listed as a registered voter but has not voted within the past 4 years gets a postcard in the mail. Those postcards then come to me either as on deliverable by the post office Or people can sign and say, I haven't voted in the past 4 years, but I want to please continue my voter registration. So if you get a card and you want to continue to vote, please sign and date that card and drop it in the mail, return that to City Hall to make sure we keep you on the voter rolls. Also, some of the cards I've come across that have been returned undeliverable are actually the people have passed away. Also, you can note if you don't want to be a registered voter anymore. And I get a couple of those. I'm all done, usually from older folks say, I just don't want to vote anymore, so go ahead and take me off the roll. So, statewide, there are tens of thousands of those out. Here within the city, I've probably had about 300 of those to process at this point. So, if you get a card in the mail, don't throw it in the trash, take a look at it. If you want to stay a registered voter, why please take the time to sign and date that card and return it to us.
What if somebody forgets or they don't do that? Can they still come at the next election and re-register
Yes,
again?
they certainly can. Normally this happens at every election. Someone will come in and they say, well, I know I've filled out that form before and I know I'm a registered voter. But what may have happened, my first question is, well, have you voted in a while? Do you remember the last time you voted? Sometimes people do and sometimes they don't. But oftentimes they're not going to be in our poll book anymore, although they are still legally registered voters of the city of Amery. They will no longer appear in the poll book if they're inactivated by the state. And if you haven't voted within 4 years and you haven't returned your card, you're still legally registered, but you're not going to be in the poll book anymore, and we're going to ask you to fill out that form again to reactivate your voting. So, of course you can vote, you'll still have to show your photo ID, but you're going to have to fill out a form again and show proof of residency again. So that's why we just like to have people return those cards.
Fran, when is that meeting with the DOT and everybody?
That is July 19th.
you.
That is Wednesday. It will officially be noticed as a Finance Committee meeting of the City of Amery, but we will make sure and notice that other City Council members may be in attendance for purposes of a quorum. I'm also going to seek legal advice on that since we are dealing with potentially property purchase from several different owners and maybe discussing negotiating for property and finance. I'll be consulting the city attorney about whether that is more appropriate to do in a closed session or an open session for that portion of the meeting.
That'd be at 5 p.m.?
No, that will be at 10 a.m.
10
in the
a.m.
morning, yes. One of our stakeholders in that, the CEO of a corporation, could only make a 10 a.m. meeting. But that notice will be going out to everybody probably tomorrow, if not Monday at the
questions
latest,
for
I would
Fran?
say. So, if there's no questions, well, we can move on.
Management analyst, David?
Try to keep it short. So water recreation study is still working on just analyzing all the different data that was collected from the survey that went out, as well as just researching all the different options the city might have it at its disposal. The plan is to make a presentation of that study at the August City Council meeting. Walkability. With the policy alternatives, I have shifted my analysis to the potential walkability improvements as directed by the Public Works Committee. The plan is to present the results of that analysis at the August Public Works Committee meeting. City website, we have continued to see increased use for the online reservation and payment module for parks facilities. Jen, at this point I'm getting about at least a handful a week. And then I was contacted by Polk County this past week to discuss our reservation system as they're looking to change systems for their campground. And then with online payments for utility bills and court fines, I'm still working on that. The goal is still to get those, at least for utility bills, get that module working by the time Linda sends out utility bills next Friday. I'm going to shoot for that. Might not happen, but it will for sure be available before they are due on August 15th. Last thing, we talked about ordinance recodification last month. RFPs for that went out. They are due on Friday, and they will be reviewed by the Finance Committee on July 25th before coming before the City Council on August 2nd. Last thing, today also for me marks my 1-year anniversary with the City of Amery.
We should have had a cake because it's one of the council members' birthday too, so we could have had all kinds of celebrations.
We
She
can
will
put a
be on
candle
mine. Old business, no, committee reports, Public Works.
Public Works Committee met on June 27th, and two items that were discussed. One was they did make a recommendation to the City Council that will be voted on tonight to close off Center Street during that 30th anniversary celebration during the farmers market. And so the committee did refer that to council for a vote.
Actually, Julie, that council doesn't have to act on that. The committee can just go ahead and do it.
Oh, okay. All right, they will just go ahead and be closed from 2 until 7 on that day for that event. And then the other item we talked about was the walkability study, which David just addressed. And we'll hear more about that in August. And that was it.
That was the only committee meeting, thank you. Old business to approve the lease agreement with the Amery Area Senior Center Incorporated or Amery Area Community Center. That's all done.
Yes,
Yes.
that's been in negotiation for some time as the old agreement has expired. And
A
through
copy.
that process, we've reached a satisfactory agreement, and the Senior Center Board has already met and approved and acted on and signed the agreement, and now it just comes to the city, for the City Council to do the same consideration.
Okay.
Our Finance Committee we've agreed to all the provisions in the lease, and I guess if you need a copy of it, it's right here.
Okay, and
Certainly can look at it.
I see they have already signed
Yeah,
copy,
and the-
Mr. Johnson.
Senior Center, or Community Center has already signed it. I would make a motion that we approve the lease.
Seconded.
Motion made and seconded to approve the lease. Any more questions, comments?
I'm just wondering with the investment that we have there, why we don't have a council member represented on their board.
I don't know.
That's a good question. We do have a council member on the golf board.
Every other
Sharon makes a
board, I
good
know.
point. You do
Pardon
make you make a good point.
When you bring it up.
Well, it is.
But I guess if
yeah,
you're volunteering.
No. I have in the past, as a citizen, mentioned it, at least to our former administrator and others. It just seems like, we spend a good amount of tax dollars there. We should be aware of what's.
Right.
It would be a good request to make to the center, and I guess they would probably have to vote on it themselves, but it would be a good idea, I think.
You mean for the center to vote on it, or?
Well, to maybe, they should maybe consider having somebody from this city council sit on that board. As an extra member, they would have to approve adding a member to their board, which is not a problem, they can
Have
do
to
that.
amend their bylaws.
Amend their bylaws,
Okay.
and I think it's a good idea. Maybe you could,
Me?
You?
You're looking at me, aren't you?
you could
Yes. Okay.
you could propose that?
I will. I will.
Okay.
Remind me after the meeting.
Okay.
Okay. I'm sure you will.
Thank
you. Okay, new business.
Call question?
Oh, I'm sorry. We didn't
We didn't vote.
off track.
What?
Okay, call the question. All in favor of the lease?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried, thank you. New business, approval of position profile for city administrator candidate recruitment, including wages and qualifications. Gary, you are up.
Thank you. Great to be with you here again this evening. Several items for your consideration tonight. The probably first and most significant is you have seen now in your packets a draft position profile. That would be one item to consider tonight. And these items are somewhat interrelated. The other is a salary range. To set a salary range, it's important to have that in place, obviously, before we begin the advertising process. I included some information from a recent salary survey that was done regarding city administrator, city manager type positions throughout the state that are similar in population. A review and approval of the job description, and then to talk about the timeline. So the first thing that I just would like to, I don't think there's any point in me going through the details of this profile. I would be interested in hearing your feedback, hearing any concerns that you have, mistakes that were made, that sort of thing. Now is the time to get those changes incorporated. I do want to call your attention to, on the last page of the profile, the header is position announcement. The dates that are in there toward the bottom are not valid anymore. We will talk about dates for the interview process, but originally the target date was for me to be here on July 5th, but you didn't have a meeting July 5th. Tonight is the meeting. So those dates that are reflected there were actually the dates that were originally planned that for the July 5th approval. So I would say to insert August 10th, complete the process by August 10th, and then the city council would select finalists. The tentative date and the timeline that I included in your packet as well was August 30th, and then September 21st and 22nd for interviews. But we'll talk about dates in a few minutes. So I just want to call your attention to the fact that these are wrong, that are in the draft profile. But first, I'd like to, just hear your comments, hear your feedback, any concerns you have, changes you want to see made to this. We can take care of that promptly.
I like the layout. I think the document itself is very nice. You did a very good job on it. Has a lot of information in it. It draws a very clear picture on what the position is, especially when you get to the budget information page. I have not seen that before on a flyer notice, whatever you want to call it. And I think that draws a very nice picture of the position and of the community itself. And I think the document itself looks good. The descriptions, yeah, we got to change the dates in it, but that's a minor detail. The one thing about the salary comparisons is it's you got a lot of communities in there, but they're all from different corners of the state. There's a couple that are local, which are good, but I think we need to really kind of, we just can't look at, okay, here are 3 villages and this is what we're going to do, because a village in Metro Milwaukee is going to be in a totally different market than Northwest Wisconsin compared to Metro Green Bay. And there's some that are higher than where we're at, there's some that are lower than where we're at. So I don't think our thought or our potential salaries are really, is too high, too low. I think we're in a really good position. But I also like to see if we're going to do a salary range, that we have some sort of matrix or a rubric to determine what gets the bottom salary range and why someone would get more. Is it education, is it experience, is it skills, abilities, knowledge, whatever that may be. But I think we need to have a very conclusive way of saying, you make, the bottom of the salary range is what you're qualified for, or the top of the salary range, just not because, we like the suit the guy came in with, or, we like the way that the candidate presents themselves. So, just my 2 cents worth.
So before we get too much into the salary range discussion, I would like to just sort of wrap this part up. We'll insert whatever salary figures you ultimately decide on. Are there other comments, questions about the document itself? Because then we can move into that salary discussion in greater detail.
I was happy with it.
Thought it was good.
Anything? Okay.
That was excellent.
Looks
All right.
really good.
It was nice.
Great. So,
Really good infrastructure.
taking on the next thing, let's talk salary, because that needs to be established. The current The administrator just left here earlier this year, was making $85,300, so had been here 9 or 10 years, or, is that right? Yeah.
8.
Yeah, okay. And started at 60 when they started, but again, that was 8.5 years ago, so if you brought up that number somewhat to reflect inflation, et cetera, if you were comfortable with that 85,300 number as your top. The one thing I will say, you know, obviously I do a lot of work in Minnesota, and you are close enough to Minnesota to be kind of in that Minnesota market area, and city administrator positions pay more in Minnesota than they do here. So in general, you know, general terms, that's just how it works. Why, who knows, but that is how it works. So I think it's important, in addition, to be sensitive to communities your size, communities that are located in similar situations as you, but also kind of keep in mind that Minnesota factor that comes into play for you, since you are so close as well. So, but it's entirely up to you what you want to set that range at. I just would like to have you set that range, so then we know, you know, what we're working with for the advertising.
But you anticipate the draw is going to be more regional than Minnesota and western Wisconsin?
There will be applicants from all over the country. So the lion's share of the applicants will come from Wisconsin. There will be applicants from, I presume, applicants from neighboring states, Illinois, Michigan, as well as Minnesota. I simply bring up the Minnesota factor is that your market for salary does include part of Minnesota. That's why I mentioned that. Not that I'm seeing applicants coming out of Minnesota for this job. There may be some, but I think the most will be right here.
I'll throw a number out there. We need a baseline to start a discussion, so I'm gonna throw the number 72 to 79,000. Am I too high, am I too low,
Are you saying that as a starting range or as a full
for us to
range?
negotiate?
Okay, for you to talk about.
I'm kind of okay with the starting range. Looking at the selection of communities that Gary provided us, maybe we have to be a little bit higher than 79 on the top end.
This is starting, not top end.
I'm okay with Tim starting. Tim had a range.
I kind of agree with Rick in that I too, I think that's not a bad starting position. It would a little depend on the qualification of the candidate. I talked to Tim about it and just in passing that if you get a guy that has 20 years of experience and he has family in the area and he wants to relocate to northern Wisconsin, but he's making X number of dollars, you may have to make some accommodation for someone that's has a long proven track record, but otherwise I think we're good.
So what number are you thinking on the top end?
Maybe I'd go up $3,000.
So 82?
Yeah. What do you think?
Okay, I'm okay with it. I just think that to quantify the increased pay, it needs to be, you know, they bring something to the table.
I agree.
They have
I agree totally.
special skills. They have something that
Or
warrants that.
or like I said, a long proven track record in city management, or you know.
Is 10,000 too big of a spread?
No, well, here's my reaction to that. People, when they look at a range like this, there's two different perspectives. One is, that's where I'm gonna start. The other is, what's the overall, what's the potential for the position long-term? Generally, what I encourage is advertising the full salary range, the top and the bottom, if you have such. If you then you just deal with the negotiations later on, because you know some people that lack experience won't be starting at the top of the range, obviously. But that way people then, they know this is gonna, the growth potential is there. If you want to advertise a starting salary range only, then I think 10,000 is a wide enough gap. But if you're thinking about more like what I'm saying is, what's the future potential as well? What's the overall range for the position? Then I think 10 is a little too narrow. So it all depends on what your objective is with that number.
So we could have a starting salary and no top end. Is that what you're saying?
You could have yeah, if you wanted, you could. Yeah, you could just say minimum salary is X.
Or starting salary.
And leave it there. Starting salary. I'd be careful with the phrase starting salary, because again, I encourage flexibility at this point in the process. If you say starting salary, then somebody's gonna look at that and go, well, that's 5,000 less than I'm making, I don't want to apply. And there goes a candidate that might have been a good one. So I would say minimum salary rather than starting salary if you were gonna use that strategy.
All right.
With that range.
Well, if you could just say 72, minimum salary is 72, and just leave it, unless you wanted to establish an upper level as well. The starting range gets complicated as well. I'm a bigger fan of just having an overall salary range of the position, but I'm comfortable either way.
If you had a range, what would you show as a range? For an example.
Well, never ask the recruiter question, it's like, well, how about 150?
Okay. Okay.
So,
but we certainly.
But a spread of about 20,000 would be typical for a salary range of this kind. So, but I'm not saying you should do that.
So we could have just a minimum salary as our.
Yep.
The only problem with having a position salary or a large range salary is the way that we give out raises through our budget process. There is no,
Schedule.
schedule or
schedule.
performance measures, or, if you do X, Y, Z, you get, this bonus every year. It's on a year-to-year basis, and a lot of it depends on budget and financial status and.
It's merit and economy.
Things uncontrolled to the city administrator, really. So.
I would be more inclined to just have the minimum salary and not without the cap.
So is there somewhere in the wording, this is a minimal, but based on experience, blah, 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 potential higher,
Right.
whatever, how you
Right.
word it out, so they
Right.
know. So somebody
Yeah.
comes on that has, maybe they're making less, but then they have a lot of experience, that they come here, then we
Yeah.
make that determination.
We could absolutely phrase that in yes, we could, yes.
So those people
again,
that.
Based on qualifications, experience, et cetera.
But then again, we have to have some sort of matrix set up that, because the first question you're gonna ask is, well, if this is minimum, what do I have to do to get more? Is it education, and okay, what's the education? Is it experience? Well, what's the experience?
Well,
and so forth.
if we have a cap in mind of 72 to 82, then if that question's asked, based on, show us what your.
So here's what, I would not encourage you to have a cap in mind if it's 82, because somebody's gonna say, well, you just had somebody there that was making 85, and now you're saying the max is 82.
No, not
So-
the
so the
max
max for
of the
the
hiring,
starting? Okay.
hiring. Yeah,
So-
not a max of the
Yeah.
job, but a max of the hiring based on qualifications.
I know the thought is to try to have a matrix. I'm a little more, there's a lot of variables that come into play about what the salary request will be. And it's very tough to say, well, if you've got X education and X experience, because I'll give you an example. If somebody comes here with 3 years of experience as a city administrator somewhere else, and they have a master's degree, et cetera, they have an education, but they're in a town of, 500, or somebody comes with the same exact background and that's a town of, 7,500, they're gonna present as a different type of candidate, and they're gonna come with a different salary that they've already got. So, there's just so many variables. At the end of the day, you will only pay what you are comfortable paying somebody, and so I'm confident that you're gonna be the ones approving it, not me or anyone else. So I think it's really tough to have a scientific methodology, I guess is what I'm saying. It's not unscientific, but there's a whole bunch of variables that come into play.
Well, we can have our own internal spread and still advertise this position, starting at your 72,000. Or minimum.
Minimum starting, yeah, I'm comfortable with that.
I think that would be,
Yeah.
that would make,
Okay.
make things a little bit easier.
Yep.
That would be my recommendation.
That should be an action item probably, or
It
what's
should,
your
it
protocol?
it is an action item.
Yeah, okay, so you got that already listed.
I believe it is. Let's see. Approval of position profile for city administrator candidate recruitment, including wages and
And
qualifications. So,
I'm gonna do one motion.
Oh, you're gonna do it that way?
Well, you can, if you want to, it's up to you folks, you can do a separate motion on the 3 items of approving the position profile, approving the salary, and then the qualifications, or you can come to a consensus on all 3 things and roll it into one motion. It's up to you, however you want to do that. We're looking at position profile, salary, qualifications.
We have desired minimum qualifications listed, is that, are you talking about qualifications in excess of those or in addition to those?
Yeah, I think they are, your job description does have that included already, what the minimum.
It's part of the job description, but the way I listed it that way was in case you wanted to make any adjustments to it. And something that came to my mind when I did that is that the job description makes no mention of, and perhaps it's not an important thing, but you do see, as for these positions, there is a certified public manager, a certificate available that's, I believe there's an ICMA one, and then also through other universities, and I don't know if that's something that you want to incorporate into a position description as carrying any weight or not is up to you, but I had that thought because I do see that in ads, and Gary, you have a lot more experience certainly in that. What's your comments on that?
I do not recommend that. You could list that as a preferred. I hate to be too limiting on the minimums, because that way, if somebody doesn't have that certificate, they still could be a tremendous candidate with all kinds of experience, just don't have the certificate. So I would not include that in the minimums, would be my recommendation. I prefer to have the door a little wider open. We'll get, it'll get nailed down later on, but that, yeah, during the process, when we reduce it down to a certain number, so. My recommendation would be to leave it as is, but you can alter it in any way that you feel is appropriate.
What else do we have to do?
And then your
What's your
timeline?
pleasure, folks? Do you want to do this all in one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Makes it easier.
Should we talk about timeline then too? I included in I think it might be the last page of the packet is a timeline. So this is the one that was updated after you reset the July meeting. So this is a better draft than those numbers that I cited earlier in the profile. So we're here tonight to approve. You'll take action here tonight. The process will start. Couple of meeting, dates of interest would be this August 30th. So the candidates will come in, I'll be taking the applications in. I'll do an initial screening of candidates to reduce it down to say 10 or 12 of the top candidates. Those people will do a video interview and a personality inventory. You're gonna have access to all that information. You all will have access to that information, so you can review that in advance of selecting people to come in for the final interview. But to come in, when you do make that selection of people to come in for the final interview, that does need to be a special meeting of the council, or doesn't need to be a special meeting. Given the timing of your regular meetings, I'm suggesting that it be a special meeting. If you wish to just wait, we can push the timeline out, but I was a little more aggressive with the timeline. So that August 30th is a critical date for you to talk about, and then interview dates as well, which I'm suggesting are September 21st and 22nd. But I'm open to the possibilities there. Sometimes people want to do those interviews on a weekend as well to better accommodate work schedules, like do a Friday, Saturday. I usually recommend at this point you do set aside 2 days for interviews, even though you may later on decide, well, we don't need to do a 2-day interview process, we just want to do these components.
I just know for
But-
me, certain day ones, I won't be able to be here,
Okay.
so, certain days. At that time, school will be in session, so.
I like the weekend, Friday, Saturday deal, because then you get to do a meet and greet in the community also. You want.
Like on a Friday evening. Yep. I got my calendars.
The 21st does not work for me at all.
How about that weekend then? Those are
The
like,
weekend's fine. Just during the week is not good.
how about a Friday?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
So
So that-
22nd, 23rd?
Okay. Would that work for folks?
I got
Tell me
check
the
possibly.
dates again. What are we, August?
September. When's the fall festival?
The week before that.
That's 15,
That's the week
16.
before.
Yep, that's the week before.
September.
It'll be a week after fall festival.
Your role as a council may not actually start until like later that afternoon as well. So, depending again on the interview components, or maybe other stuff going on that doesn't involve you directly. So usually I try to compress your time commitment to probably most of the second day you'll be committed, and then part of the first day, but usually I try to push that to the latter part of the first day. So for work schedules, et cetera, you'd probably be starting mid to late afternoon.
Sounds good.
Does that sound good? 22nd and 23rd of September? You can change this later. I just like to have it in the advertisement so candidates are kind of locking in on those dates, but if you have to change it, that'll be just fine. So. And then does that August 30th date work for the council?
Can
Is that
we just push that
Thursday?
to, our next board meeting's a week away from there. Can we just push it out to the regular council meeting?
Is it September?
Well, when is Labor Day?
The
The
7th.
4th?
Yeah.
Labor Day the 4th.
Labor Day is September 4th. We can still go ahead and meet as usual on September 6th, unless you wanted to change the meeting date because of the Labor Day holiday.
September 6th.
Typically, we do that if it's the holidays on Tuesday, but not on Monday.
Vacation.
So, but that's up to you folks, whatever
Well,
works.
Labor Day's always on Monday, right?
Yeah, Labor Day's always
Yeah.
a Monday,
Thing
yep.
that would be for me.
Okay.
So, yeah,
I have
the
Fridays
30th
off.
or the 6th.
I don't have classes.
That would work for me.
September.
No later than that, because it takes about 2 weeks for the background stuff to get done, and that's just about 2 weeks. So that would work fine from my perspective if you wanted to.
So rather than August 30th, September 6th, is that?
Yeah. So-
Everybody shaking their head yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And that would just be
Roll call head shake.
Yes.
And that's for just a meeting in the evening.
be part of your regular meeting.
Yeah.
That would be
Part of our council meeting
regular
on
council
on that
Yeah,
day.
that'll be fine.
Yeah.
And we would research, that may be in closed session because of the nature of it, but that would be researched in
We'll
advance.
be dealing with individual people
Yeah.
then, so
Yeah.
most likely it will need to be. in
Yeah.
closed session.
Okay.
Okay. Do we need a motion to accept those changes?
Just,
We need,
we're gonna move to
I
accept
think
If
the
so-
whole thing, that'd
if
be that
so,
one
we
motion.
need them.
Yeah, I will move that we approve this schedule with the discussed changes, including a $72,000 minimum salary, changing the dates to September 6th rather than August 30th, and what was the third part?
September
22nd and 3rd, rather.
22nd,
The
23rd.
acceptance of the,
Yeah,
the acceptance of the,
acceptance of the community information profile and the administrative requirements. administrator requirements. Does
And the
that cover it?
And the interview dates,
And the-
September
And the inter-
22nd.
Yeah, the interview date is September 22nd.
Do we have all three
I
things
believe
covered?
so. I can kind of do a read back here. If I
Yeah.
understand it correctly, the motion was to approve the city administrator and community position and community profile. To approve a starting minimum salary of $72,000 annually and to accept the position qualifications as listed. And then in addition, to approve the schedule with a revision of shifting the special council meeting from August 30th to the regular council meeting September 6th. And reserving the dates September 22nd and 23rd also as potential special council meetings for interview purposes.
Succinctly stated.
That's the motion.
Is there a second?
I will second it as read.
Motion made and seconded.
That's
Okay.
exactly what he said.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you, Gary.
All right, yeah, I think that's it for me, so.
Appreciate
We
it.
will post the position tomorrow.
Okay,
Yeah, exciting.
thank you.
Brand's excited about it.
Not yet, Fran. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, awarding bid for reconstruction of the Flagpole Park lift station.
Yes, we've got Kevin here. Yes.
All right, I'm Kevin Oyen from Cedar Corporation, and I'm here for the flagpole lift station rehab project. We had some discussion at the last council meeting, and we did open bids last Friday for the project. And on the second page of the memorandum that I had sent over, we did get 3 bids as part of the project. You can see at the top there, the 3 different companies, Winona Mechanical, August Winters and Sons, and Pemper Companies submitted quotes for the project. And at the bottom, we did include an alternate 1, which extended the contract time from December 31st of this year to final completion date of July 15th of next year. And you can see at the bottom, it ranged from a deduct of around $15,000 to an adder of $7,500 from August Winters and Sons. So when you take a combination between the project total and the alternate, you can see on the bottom we had a low bid of $194,695. And it ranged up to $243,012.50. So quite a little bit of range in prices when you do compare those. Our engineer's estimate, based on final plans and specs, it was a little over $184,000, so it was within $10,000 of what we were anticipating the cost to come in. So it's our opinion that the city did receive competitive bids for the project. We have worked with Winona Mechanical before in the past. Recent example is in the city of Prescott. We had another lift station rehab project back in 2015 that we worked with this company. So with that, we are recommending award of the project to Winona Mechanical in the amount of $194,695. So
There was some discussion about city crew was gonna put the prefab building up. Has that gone away or?
That's gone away.
Okay. Is there a reason or?
Because what we had in mind was.
Not what they had in mind?
Exactly.
Okay. Because I see it's in the bid, that's why I asked.
yeah. You
We
can see all.
thought we could put up a pole-type building, but this building that they proposed comes with all the components in it.
Oh, okay.
And it's, a little over of what our capabilities are. And also, with this $15,000 deduct is gonna delay the project. I don't know if the council's aware of that or not.
Yeah. So instead of being completed this year, it would actually be completed by July 15th of next year. If you do take the deduct.
We're okay with that?
It's only 2 weeks. That's not a big deal.
That's not a problem, is it? No.
No.
We can carry over the budget
Yeah.
from this year to this year, so, just like we did from last year to this year.
Make a motion, we approve the Winona Mechanical Incorporated bid for $194,695 for a new lift station.
I second it.
Motion made and seconded. More discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
All right,
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the Resolution 04-2017 in support of Stour Lake Trail remaining non-motorized. You have the resolution in your packet. I think I will read it for the people in the audience who don't have it. Whereas the Stour Seven Lakes Trail is one of the only year-round non-motorized trails in our region, and whereas motorized recreational users enjoy Clear Lake, Cattail, and Gandy winter trails, as well as the ever-expanding use of both city and county roads. And whereas this trail is used for hiking, biking, skiing, fat and snow biking, bird watching, and providing a child-safe place. And whereas special events held in conjunction with the trail are the candlelit ski, snowshoe, and bike, half marathon, triathlon, 4th of July 5K run, and changing color rides. And whereas motorized and non-motorized activities are not safely or aesthetically compatible. And whereas the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources has a priority for developing non-motorized trails in northwestern Wisconsin. And whereas motorized use will damage or destroy the taxpayers' current investment in the existing limestone trail surface, and now therefore it be resolved that the City of Amery Council requests the Polk County and the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources maintain and preserve the Stour Seven Lakes Trail in its current use of non-motorized activities only. Discussion.
Do we need a motion first?
We do.
I will so move that we adopt the resolution.
Is there a
I second it.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
I guess I'll start the discussion. When the trail was originally put in, I was part of the city council at that time, and at that time I supported that trail being a motorized trail. I still do. At that time, we had representatives from Polaris here, Industries, one of the larger employers within Polk County. And at that time, I think the president from the Polaris plant was here and even indicated how many Amery employees worked at that plant. I still support that as a motorized trail.
Anybody else? Okay. All in favor of the resolution? Our cameraman back there asked for a voice vote, individual,
Oh, I
right?
didn't know cameramen could do that.
No cameraman.
I guess they can.
Okay, roll call vote. Strobush,
Yes.
Riemann Schneider,
Yes.
Paulson,
Yes.
Bicker,
Yes.
Davis,
No.
Van Blarkum.
Yes. Reluctantly.
Motion. Oh, we have passed the resolution. Thank you, everyone. Operators' licenses are in your packets.
Yes, typically we have a few holdovers from our main approval that we do in June. So these have been submitted and the background checks are done and they meet the educational requirements, so I would recommend they be approved.
Do we need to list them all, or can we just do a packet?
I think that you can just do them as
Okay.
in the packet.
I so move to approve all of those.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the operators licenses. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Second-hand dealer's license. That's for Warren again.
That's, went through the same process. They've made the application. The background research has been done. They've paid the fees, so I would recommend that be approved as well.
Move to approve the second-hand dealer's application.
Second?
Motion made and seconded. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay. Any questions from the press or public?
I have one silly little question, Marson. You said there's been code violations. Could you elaborate?
Code violations come in, primarily what it's been is junk vehicles and accumulation of junk and stuff like that. But we also get ones for illegal parked vehicles, may have been in a space for too long. Our little insert that's going to come out is going to address that. It's going to even address the dog issues of barking dogs, dogs running at large, and different things like that. So.
I had one comment, I guess it'd be a public comment. I was asked if the city was going to move the dog park from its current location up into the Arlington neighborhood, and it was something I had never heard of since, and I guess I'm going to go on record of saying the city council has never talked about that, never even proposed it, and we would never consider it.
I'll
was
clarify that since it
yeah.
came up under Parks and Rec. We have, in the last 2 years, considered several different spots for the dog park. Southeast side of the airport, which did not work out. We talked about the East Side Industrial Park. None of those seem to be, have all the things that we need. So at the last meeting of the Airport Commission, which I sit on also, we had Jay Griggs, who is our park manager, meet with, what's her name, the lady that runs Arnell.
Mary.
And they walked out through there, and I believe they delineated some land at the northwest corner of the airport. And that was basically met with the approval of the Airport Commission. So I'm not, Jay hasn't sent out a clarification of that, but I think that was acceptable. And the ballpark, or the issue now is, I believe, back in the hands of the folks that are advocating for the dog park. They have some monies to raise when they started talking about chain link fence to go around 5 acres. That is a fairly daunting figure. So I believe we've tentatively identified that. It will come to the council for approval when the ducks are in a row, so that we can say this is how much it is. And the Arlington Drive did come up for a small part of the discussion, in that the folks that own the land that goes out to the point behind Mick Larson's, if everybody knows where Mick lives, or on the end of Arlington Drive where it curves to the south and back around the loop. That land straight ahead was considered. The folks, as I understand it, the folks that own the land said maybe you should think about something like this. We didn't think very long. The increased traffic through the neighborhood is something that I personally felt would be met by a tar and feathering committee,
Yeah.
and I wasn't too interested in it. So we just discussed it as a committee, and that's where it's at right now.
And besides, there are bears out on the point.
Yay for the
And
bears.
there's wildlife too, there's
Lots of
eagles.
wildlife there.
There's a lot of wildlife out there.
The The issue will be, they do have a proposal drawn up that they have met with me about today. And they will be on the agenda of the Parks Committee meeting at the end of the month with that proposal for the Parks Committee to consider and make a recommendation to the City Council on. So it is moving ahead for consideration anyway, and that would be regarding on the airport property.
I have two things. Even though Chief Marson and Bones were both out very early this morning, I was out very early as well to the AEDC meeting. At least 6:30 is very early for me. I'm not a morning person. But a couple things that came up at the meeting this morning I just want to touch base on. And Fran mentioned the incubation
Yes.
concept or idea, which is basically creating areas or providing opportunities for small businesses to start growing. And these small businesses can start with our high school students, they can start with our current residents. Just give them an opportunity to start growing something small. It might be manufacturing, might be a service industry. The sky is really the limit. And the ADC is really pushing this concept as well. We think that there is opportunity in Amery for something like that to occur, and we're going to be talking a little bit further with it as well. Also, the sign issue that we kind of hot potatoed, for lack of a better term, to the ADC, the sign by Pure and Simple and the one on 46, they're taking measures to recover those or to fix them up and make them a lot better. So hopefully that'll be done here in the near future. And that's all I have on that. And also, Rick, there's been nasty rumors going around about me as well, that I'm running for the city administrator position. I have absolutely no interest in it. It is not my gig. I am so underqualified for it. So it's a nasty rumor, but thank you for the consideration. I really do appreciate it that people think that highly of me.
It's kind of flattering.
Yeah.
Is there any other business to come before
No,
this
but I
council?
just had a question for Tim when you mentioned, is the AEDC going to fund cleaning that up then?
Yeah.
Because last we talked at Parks, there was some question, but.
Yeah, the thing we do need to bring up in Parks though is that third sign on west of 8, or west of 46, on what we're going to do to resolve that issue.
And that came up in committee and that's part of your packet that says that Parks recommended to the council to approve taking that sign down if, provided that Peter Henry got his variance from the state or the county and whoever.
Friends coming down with a cold. We need to adjourn. No.
Motion to adjourn.
Or seconded.
All in
whatever.
favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.